Hello, I'm Clarion from Clarion Call Fiber Arts, and welcome to part 1 of my guide to reclaiming sweaters. In this video, I'll show you what to look out for when you're choosing a sweater to take apart for its yarn. I believe that every sweater deserves a chance at a new life, but if this is your first time taking a sweater apart, here are some tips on choosing one that will help make this a more rewarding experience for you. First, you want to choose a sweater that was made using roughly worsted weight yarn. For example, you don't want one that looks like it was knitted with thread weight yarn, like this one. The best sweaters to take apart are ones that look like they're made with a yarn that you could knit right up into something else, like this one. Second, try not to choose a fuzzy sweater, like this one. I know there's nothing more inviting than a fuzzy yarn, but when you're taking a sweater apart, the fuzz will continually get caught, which will frustrate you and prevent your yarn from pulling smoothly apart. Lastly, make sure that your sweater doesn't have any seams that are serged together on the inside. A serger is a machine that cuts and binds fabric together. So if you see this on the inside of your sweater, like these seams here, it means that your sweater pieces have been cut at the seams. And even if you take the time to pick out the serging, which is incredibly time-consuming, when you pull the sweater apart, each row of knitting becomes a separate strand of yarn, and in order to use this yarn, you'd need to knot it together after every row that you pull out. Not impossible, but not ideal. What you want the inside of your sweater to look like is this. There's seam allowance here, which means two individual pieces of knitting have been seamed together and not cut, so that when you remove this seam and pull the pieces apart, you'll get one super long piece of yarn that you can make into anything your little heart can dream up. The only exception to this rule is at the shoulder seams. For whatever reason, a lot of commercially made sweaters are serged here. If your sweater is serged here too, don't worry. Because commercial sweaters are knitted from the bottom up, you can remove this serging, and there's only a small amount of yarn at the top here that will pull out in short pieces and be hard to use. In addition, if your sweater has buttonholes or a logo stitched into the sweater, that will make taking it apart more difficult as well. Again, not impossible, but not ideal. If at any time while taking apart your sweater you feel in over your head, feel free to visit my Etsy shop where I've done all the work for you. There are many skeins of beautifully colored reclaimed sweater yarn up for grabs there. I'll see you in part 2 where I'll show you how to quickly and easily take apart your sweater by finding the magic thread. If you liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or find me on Instagram for more fiber how-tos and experiments. Happy crafting!